On today's episode, we have a whole handful of finalies for you. Arsenal finally conquer Man City after years of trying in a huge title clash. Chelsea finally put the ball in the back of the net after weeks of underperforming XG. Man United finally pick up 3 points thanks to a clutch performance from Scott McTominay. And finally, we have our definite game of the season. Crystal Palace 0, Nottingham Forest 0. And yes, it is last on today's episode.
And you've got all that to look forward to on this week's episode of the Football Fellowship podcast. My name is Mev, and that was Toby. How you been, Tobes?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. We just filmed the quiz, didn't we?
Yeah.
And all I can say is you've got a lot to look forward to. It was mental. It was mental.
Literally a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it was draining. It was stressful. It was pressure, and it was just magical scenes.
It was. And I hope you look forward to it because we put blood, sweat and tears into that quiz.
Quite literally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I was very happy with the outcome. I mean, for the neutrals.
Spoilers ahead.
No, nothing like that at all. But yes, should we talk about North London being red, or is it white, with both North London teams at the top of the table on joint points?
They certainly are.
Let's start with Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0, in what was the most dull game of football I think I've ever witnessed. I think if you try and break it down tactically, I think yes, you can talk about how both teams countered each other really well and didn't give each other any space. And you've got 3 pages of notes to talk us through, Topes.
Yeah, it was...
Let me get my pillow.
It was so not an entertaining game. It was, I think, for the neutral and for someone who wanted a big clash with lots of goals and stuff, it just did not deliver at all. And I think because of that, it just meant I was watching Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta clash in terms of their setups and just having like the time to actually be able to look at that, which I found quite interesting, which I don't think a lot of people would have wanted to do or done, but I guess because we do a football podcast, it gave us the opportunity. And it was actually really interesting to see. It was interesting to see how both sides are set up, as you said, to try and counter each other. On the ball, it was pretty similar systems that I think we've seen for both teams. We saw Arsenal actually line up with Jorginho as the main 6, and that gave Rice a little bit more freedom. He was sometimes dropping into that left centre-back role a bit more, also dropping, being able to push up as that left number 8 as well. We saw Jesus on the right. He had a really good performance, I saw, with Nketiah leading the line. Fairly similar to what we've seen for Arsenal. And Man City, almost the same. We saw Foden and Alvarez sitting behind Haaland. They were almost playing a box midfield at time, actually, which was quite interesting, or more like a diamond, rather, I should say, with Silva actually being that Rodri replacement in the first half, which I don't think many people would have expected, with Walker and Gvardiol pushing out wide, as we saw. And off the ball, it was really similar for both teams. Both were... I wouldn't say either team were particularly pressing. It was more blocking in a 4-4-2, sort of the classic Arsenal 4-4-2 block that we see with Odegaard as that second striker next to Nketiah. And for City, it was actually Rico Lewis who was pushing up from midfield to press with Haaland, which again was really surprising. And then Alvarez and Foden were sort of not pushing out wide, but were the wider players in the block of their 4-4-2. So being able to sort of see that, because there wasn't much else going on in the game, was interesting. And I think that sort of was how it was in the first half and from the off. And it was a pretty stale encounter in that first half, you could say.
It's actually really quite interesting that the fact that we had a dull, boring 1-0. Because I don't know if you watched the Match of the Day highlights from the week before, where it was Jamie Carragher and Frank Lampard, and they're talking about the Chelsea-Liverpool rivalry and how the fact that it was incredibly boring if you were a neutral, but both all the games they had in the league, in the cups, in the Champions Leagues were so close, so tense, and so ferociously fought that there was so much tactically going on. You're watching your man, you were trying to watch where the ball went, and you knew where you needed to be at the exact moment of the phase of the play. And that kind of... I watched that video, actually, in the clip on YouTube, just before the Arsenal-Man City game. And it's really interesting, because I think that going into that game, that without your best players, with no Saka, with no Martinelli, and for City, no Rodri, no De Bruyne, that I think it really hampered how both teams decided to go out and play their football. And I think they both went out to stifle and not lose the game. But ultimately, we did get a winner.
We did, in the end. From the start, I would say I would probably first half, I don't think there was particularly a better side. I think City really suffocated Arsenal well. They kept us in, and put a lot of pressure on Raya. He didn't have many out options, and there was a couple of times where he gave the ball away. And I think City definitely kept that ball better in the first half. They didn't have much of a final third play. There wasn't much of a final pass. And there was a really interesting stat that came up in the game, that it was after about 25 minutes, both teams only had 10 successful final third passes, which from the two best, what you probably say is the two best attacking sides in the league, whether that was they were struggling to move forward or how well both teams were set up with their 4-4-2 blocks, it's probably a bit of both. City, I think, did look a little bit lackluster going forward. And that, I suppose, the only really interesting part of that first half for me was the Kovacic debate.
Oh, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, that was probably the one big talking point, maybe even from the whole game.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I'm glad Arsenal won, because I do feel like that was awful for Michael Oliver, because I think that Kovacic should have been sent off for the first one. I think you could argue maybe it was an orange card.
Yeah, I put down that I think if it was an Arsenal player that would have got red for that, I would have been upset.
Yeah.
But I maybe could have understood it.
Yeah, I think in that one you go with the with the on-field referee, and VAR don't intervene, which is not what they've been doing, which is why I was angry about it, because for example, say Malo Gusto got sent off for that, Curtis Jones got sent off for that. So I feel like there's no level of consistency from the referees and especially VAR. And then Michael Oliver definitely should have sent Kovacic off for 2 yellows. It's either a red card or it's 2 yellows. It's not neither, and Kovacic stays on the pitch, because that is just appalling refereeing. Where's the consistency? And to be fair, the tackle the Kovacic made for the second challenge was bad enough that it could have maybe been on borderline itself.
Yeah, I think if that second challenge would have happened 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, it would have definitely been a second yellow. I think it was the speed in which it came after the first challenge. Referees always don't want to give that second yellow so quickly.
He immediately said, no, not having it. It's not a yellow. And then I just think, I don't know. I just thought it was poor. But I'm glad, like I said, that Arsenal won, because I just felt like if Man City did win that game, the entire talking point was going to be about the fact that Michael Oliver and VAR officials should have sent Kovacic off. He shouldn't be on the pitch. How on earth Man City won this game with 11 men? Not quite sure. But I don't think I've seen anyone who said that that it isn't either a red card straight away or 2 yellows.
Yeah,
and that was just really, really poor.
Yeah, luckily it didn't make too much of a difference. I don't think Kovacic had a particularly great game. He was probably, I think, outshone by Bernardo Silva, who played that 6th row actually really well in the first half, I thought.
Pep trusts him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. He is probably the most press-resistant player in the league, I'd say. The way he just keeps the ball, I think it's almost impossible to tackle him sometimes.
He does remind you of David Silva, doesn't he?
He really does. He's I don't know what it is. You can see when the Arsenal players are trying to tackle him and they almost just don't bother, I think, in this game. Whether that was probably an instruction from Arteta, knowing that it would have been Kovacic or Silva playing as a 6, who are really good at keeping the ball. Maybe not so much as progressing it forward, but just having such good close control that they did have a lot of time on the ball. And they just spin anyone. They can just move so quickly and just change direction so quickly. They're both elite, like ball, not carriers or progressors, ball like holders.
Retentioners?
Yeah, ball retainers. Yeah,
ball retainers.
Yeah, they really are.
Retentioners. Sounds like pensioners.
And I think in the second half, where they actually lost that, I think they lost a bit of their shape in the midfield, City, in the second half.
Well, yeah, they made the substitutes, didn't they? They brought on Mateus Nunes, I think for Kovacic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then they brought on Doku, and then, they really
John Stones.
John Stones, yeah. And I think, bringing on John Stones, he's an amazing footballer, arguably England's best centre-back, and, really helped, man of the match performance in the Champions League final. But I just think coming back from injury, maybe this wasn't the game to put him back in.
Yeah, especially that late into a game where it's still 0-0 and Arsenal were pressing at that point. It meant Bernardo Silva was pushed up. Doku came in on the wing. I think Doku probably came in to target Zinchenko, which was then counteracted by Arteta bringing on Tomiyasu. So that almost just shut that out completely.
Yeah, and then Doku had to go on the left wing against
Ben White, who is, again, another centre-back and a really good 1v1 defender, who also nutmegged Doku. I don't know if you saw that clip. It was very nice.
No, I didn't know.
It was naughty.
I was too busy yawning.
That second half, it completely changed. We really stepped up, and I thought we played really, really well, and I thought we were the much better team in the second half with Martinelli coming in for Trossard. He just was so direct, so aggressive, as he always is, and I think Zinchenko sat back a little bit more in that second half, and that gave Rice the freedom to push up more as a progressive left-sided 8, with Jorginho sitting in as the definite single pivot, as opposed to that first half where there was a lot of interchange from Rice with doing a double pivot, being the 8, and also dropping in as the left centre-back. And Rice had another fantastic game. He has probably been our player of the season so far, and it just seems like he can do it all. That second half, I think Jesus had a lot more freedom as well. I think Gvardiol was really progressive in that first half, because Jesus, I don't think, is used to tracking a fullback. He doesn't play on the wing generally. He plays up front, and there was a lot of times Gvardiol got through. But I think as Man City sat back in that second half, Jesus had so much space to run. He had a really strange game, Jesus. He was really good off the ball, really good defensively. He had 9 out of 23 ground duels, which I can't believe he went for 23 ground duels, 4 tackles and an interception. He had a lot of runs, a lot of attempting progressive passes, but he only had a 65% pass completion, and he lost the ball 18 times. He had an absolutely crazy game. He was all over the pitch. He was a bit reckless at times, but it was a really good chaotic performance, I think, from him, and eventually it all culminated in the Arsenal goal, and it was the 2 subs, Tomiyasu and Havertz, combining for it.
Yeah, and I thought that goal it really came out of nowhere. And to be fair, I felt bad for Nathan Ake, because in the first 10 minutes of the game, he arguably should have put Man City 1-0 up with his chance early on. The flick on from the cross, which went from Haaland, he flicked it onto Ake, and he just skied it over the bar. And then, unfortunately for him, he is on the receiving end of the loss as Martinelli shoots. It feels like Edison's going to have it, or if not, it's going to go wide. And then hits Nathan Ake on the back as he turns, and then just beats Edison in the near post. And it's 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, I was so gassed. It's so good.
Yeah, who are now top of the league as well.
Yeah, well, second place on goals scored, with Tottenham scoring more goals at the moment. But yeah, it was I think we still it's difficult to tell against Man City, but it does feel a little bit like this season that we have a chance creation problem. We didn't really create many chances this game. We had some really good play and really defensively solid. Saliba and Gabriel were exceptional in this game. But I think on this performance, we can take away so much of that defensive solidity, and our game management, I thought, in the final 7-8 minutes was incredible. I think the way we kept the ball almost for 3 or 4 minutes straight against a pressing Man City side who were looking for an equaliser. We were just playing it round them, like that Ben White nutmeg came in like the 91st minute or something, kept playing it round. David Raya would go back to him, he'd launch it up, and then Jesus or Martinelli would keep the ball, Havertz keep the ball really well. And we just saw at that game, and they didn't really have a sniff in the last 10 minutes after the Martinelli goal went in, which was such a professional and assured performance. And I think that stereotype maybe of Arsenal not having the bottle or the backbone in games. I know we saw sort of the drop-off in the last season, but I think seeing out games, we had it at Palace earlier this season, we've had it against Man City now, and I think that's such a big aspect of our game that has really, really improved, and it was a great show of that.
Yeah, I think last season was definitely, you had hope that maybe you could challenge Man City. I think now maybe with that performance you have belief that you can, and I think that, to be fair, I mean, maybe I'm clutching at straws here, but credit to Arsenal and Arteta for his subs, because when he brought on Havertz, the only reason that Martinelli goal happened is because you have Havertz on the pitch, and the only reason you play the long ball is because you have Havertz and not Nketiah up top. So then he doesn't win the ball, but then the ball kind of ricochets off the Man City defenders. It's kind of a loose ball, and then Martinelli picks it up. But I think just Arteta's game management was just perfect right from the off. The fact that it brought on Martinelli, he risked him. Like he said in his post-match interview, he wasn't 100% fit. The medical staff didn't really want him playing, but he said, no, I need him. And, he's got an international break now, so for him to have time to recover. And then also you have Saka who's going to come back, and then maybe you can have that front three again with Partey will also come back.
Yeah.
So it's all looking really positive for us at the moment in time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. With Saka as well, he has dropped out of the England squad, which is bad news for England, maybe, but it's good news for Arsenal. I was happy when I heard it, because it means he's going to get a bit of a better rehab period, and hopefully he'll be back for that first game after the international break. I think Man City, it wasn't a bad performance from them, but they definitely weren't at at their best. They weren't at their best.
Not at all.
I think Foden wasn't able to pick up and do much with the ball. Haaland did not get any sort of service. Defensively, they were still solid, Man City, I thought. And I think their Diaz and Ake had a good game, as well as Walker and Gvardiol, who were able to get forward when they could. But they just weren't able to really create anything, whether that was the way Arsenal was set up in their block or Man City maybe missing those Rodris, those De Bruynes, those players who are so good at controlling the tempo and then picking out a final pass when it's needed as well.
Yeah, I think especially without Rodri, I mean it's mental the fact that Man City haven't won a game without Rodri since he's been suspended. But I think that often what happens is when a team tries to counter-attack City, because that's how you try and get at City normally, because you're not going to beat them for possession, even though Arsenal did try. And Rodri just breaks up the play or intercepts the ball, and then Man City just have another counter-attack, to the point where the team they're facing, they know they've got to try and counter-attack, but they don't have much hope when they do it. But Arsenal always managed to get to Man City's back line, and then they lost the ball, which the pass in the final third wasn't quite there, in which you talked about the issues they have creating chances. But getting to that back line in itself just means that Man City are further back, so that means they have to restart further back as well, and that gives Arsenal more time to get into shape and then get compact, and therefore Man City have to really work hard to create those chances. And I think without a Rodri, they miss their chances to really pile pressure and consistent pressure over a long period of time in a game. And I think that's what really that no one else in the Man City side can do. Bernardo Silva had an excellent game on the ball. Defensively, Arsenal just kind of skipped him by. And I think that's the real issue, because without Rodri, who's going to be that other destroyer who's going to win that ball back early on?
Yeah, I think like you said, when we got that ball forward, I could imagine there was a lot of fans in the stadium. Well, maybe not in the stadium. It was a really good atmosphere and they were really optimistic. But I think maybe people watching would have seen us on a break and get high and then turn around and almost reset. And I do have to say that was a bit frustrating in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes against Man City. You think, oh, this is our chance to go forward, break. But we actually had the confidence to turn around, stop, retain possession and create a move once City had sat back, which was really positive, I actually thought, from Arteta. He could have easily had Arsenal sit back and just break, but like you said, having the confidence and the belief that we can retain that ball and make good quality chances as opposed to just hoping on a break.
Yeah. I mean, fair play. But what do you think about City now? They've lost against Wolves now. They've now lost against Arsenal. Not the end of the world, very early on in the season, and they probably will bounce back. But does it show some underlying issues in maybe in their squad depth, as well as the fact that, are Arsenal on the rise and can Man City cope?
Yeah, I wouldn't know what Man City maybe could do differently. I suppose Stones coming in, but they still need someone to sit alongside John Stones, and I'm not sure who that would be.
Do you think Stones and Kovacic would have worked if they were both fully fit?
I think so. I think that probably would have worked well. You would have had Stones winning the ball and Kovacic retaining it and potentially progressing it a bit. I don't know. They will be fine. It's Man City. Their squad is so talented. It's fantastic. I just think against Wolves, maybe it was a bit of naivety against their opponent. They left too much space out wide for Wolves to attack. And I think against Arsenal, maybe it was a bit too negative. Maybe Pep actually gave Arsenal and Arteta a bit too much respect. Should have been a bit more ruthless, maybe a slightly higher press, and believed that they could have won the ball higher than they did. And maybe they could have got more out of the game. But yeah, like we've said, I think they will be fine. They've got Brighton, I think, after the international break.
That'll be a good game.
Which will be a good game. It's Brighton's defence hasn't been great as of late, which I'm sure we'll be touching on later in the Liverpool game. But Brighton are a team that can always surprise you and will always hurt you going forward, which potentially is where Man City is their weakest point at the moment.
Yeah. Well, shall we move on then to Burnley 1, Chelsea 4? As you said in the intro, Chelsea have finally beaten their XG, their biggest demons.
Smashed
and
it.
They've finally put the ball back in the net. 4 different goal scorers as well, which is fantastic to see for them from a side who've been really struggling. But we felt this has been coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been... Our conversational season has been Chelsea and Everton, I would say, is the two big underperformers, two teams that haven't played badly, I wouldn't say, and have put up some really good performances, but are just not getting the results out as we would have thought looking at the stats and looking at the way that they've been playing. But Chelsea were able to put on a really good performance this weekend. Their shape was slightly different to how it's actually been the last couple game weeks. I think Poch has made... I don't think he's given up on the 4-2-3-1, but I think maybe going forward after their performance this weekend, we will see the 4-3-3 shape that we saw this weekend, with Enzo dropping as the left 8, Caicedo as your 6, and then Gallagher as the right-sided 8, who is actually probably more forward than Enzo for a lot of this game, similar to what we saw when he was at Crystal Palace. And he had another really good game, Conor Gallagher, as did Enzo Fernandez. He doesn't suit the number 10 for me at all, and I think playing him as an 8 is much better for Chelsea.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it was really quite interesting because it felt like Chelsea were trying so hard to try and score goals, and they were like, right, Nicholas Jackson needs support upfield. We need to play a 10 so then they can play near or close to Nicholas Jackson. When Nkunku comes back, when Chukwuemeka comes back, we're going to be playing with the number 10. And they kind of just ignored the players that they had at the moment in time, with not, like you said, none of them being a natural number 10. And maybe Enzo was a better deep lying number 8, and Gallagher was more of a box to box number 8. And they've actually just by sorting that out and having one defensive midfielder and 2 8s rather than 2 and 1, that they've just found more balance inside, and which not only did they play better, they created more chances as well. So, fair play to Pochettino for doing that, because, so far we've been saying, well, maybe he needs to stick to a formation, he needs to stick to a way of playing in the same set of players, and because he's been chopping and changing for so many games so far this season, and it's only been 8, and, he's probably arguably used like 30, maybe 35 players already. But it was good because, you're up against Burnley, who did have that good win against Luton in midweek, which we didn't cover because it was a rescheduled fixture. But it was the perfect game for them, and the fact that, everything seemed to click today.
Yeah, it was playing like that little change of shape, I think, suits their defensive setup as well, because it meant you sort of had your 2 8s in the half space. Your fullbacks, actually, Colwill and Cucurella in this game, were able to get really nice and high and wide without having that gap in the half space, which the number 10, you've only got one of them. They're having to move between the left and the right half space, but with those 2 8s, it gives them more freedom, more link up available with the fullbacks, the wingers, and then the striker as well. It just gives so many more options, and it's a much better system, I think, for Chelsea. And like we said, with the having better wingers link up, Palmer and Sterling,
Yes, yeah.
Both having really good games, both getting on the score sheet, and I think Sterling, we've heard conversations about him getting back into the England squad now. He seems to have his confidence back a lot more. What did you make of his performance this weekend? And do you think he should be back in the England squad?
First of all, is he in the England squad at the moment?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I think now he should be. Because of the fact that I didn't watch the game live, I watched the extended highlights, and he was in every single highlight in which Chelsea did something good. And I think not only that, but he's doing that all season so far. And I think that anytime he gets the ball, I mean, I remember his game against West Ham, and I think West Ham won that game 3-1, and Chelsea lost it because I think it was the one where Mikel Antonio absolutely bullied Axel Disasi. But I thought that, Sterling so far this season has been absolutely phenomenal. He's been so direct, he's been so quick, he hasn't given defenders any time to think. That I think that, the way he's playing so far, I think he should be in the England squad, absolutely. Who does he get into the squad ahead of? Because obviously you've got so many great players playing really well at the moment. Maybe ahead of Marcus Rashford on current form. But I think that, Sterling, as the main man, as he was meant to be when he joined last summer from Man City, for £50 million, I think this is the first top Burnley signing that's really not just performing, but like really shining. And everyone's going like, wow, Sterling in this form, anyone in the league will have him. Even Guardiola, he's probably regretting it right now.
Yeah, definitely. I was just checking that he is not in the England squad, and like you've said, he's brought like a lot more to his game this season. I think when we've seen him maybe for England and City before, he was more of like an outlet, like a 1-2 touch, get a finish, good positioning, someone who can run in behind from passes. Whereas I think this season we've seen him on the ball a lot more, which maybe we haven't seen since his early City days, or even when he was at Liverpool. He was more of a tricky dribbler then, and we've really seen that this season, him picking up the ball, driving, and really creating the chances as opposed to just being someone who's going to be on the end of them.
Yeah, because of the fact that he's so small and he's so quick, it's incredibly hard for defenders to get anywhere near him at all. Because all you have to do is drop a shoulder, take the ball one way, and then the defenders are just wrong-footed and they're just sent home. It's actually so exciting to watch. And it's something that very few wide players or wide forwards actually have in their game and have the capability to be able to do, running with the ball at that speed and so effectively. that I really do think that, Chelsea going forward really need to be utilising that and giving him the ball as much as possible. But also, like you said, shout out to Cole Palmer, because he came into this game and, he was kind of, people were kind of making fun of Chelsea for making the signing of Cole Palmer from Man City for this fee, especially for someone who, can't even start for Man City. And he had a fantastic game. Obviously, he scored the penalty, but all round he was really well. He played really well, and he definitely usurped Noni Madueke in that right wing role, right attacking forward role. And Sterling can now go on the left, and it means that what's his name, the Ukrainian. Mudryk. Fuck it. Oh, Mudryk. Yeah. Mudryk can now go onto the bench and be more of an impact sub, because at the moment he hasn't been showing his qualities as of late. But I think it's really, really exciting for Chelsea. But Burnley, another loss. But like I said, they won in midweek against Luton, was the one they were meant to win, expected to win. But just hovering outside the relegation zone at the moment in time. What do you think of Vincent Kompany's men?
Again, I feel like I was saying the same every week. They had some good moments of possession. They obviously took a 1-0 lead. But there wasn't much else really going for them this weekend. They were completely dominated, in all honesty. I don't know what they need to change. I think we sort of said before that maybe they need to sit a little deeper, because a lot of teams are able to find big chunks of space against them. And maybe sort of, it's so frustrating and anti-football almost to say to them to sit back and be a little bit more pessimistic, but it might mean they scrape a few more points even if they sort of lose that style of play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really do feel for them, because I think the Premier League has been a really hard league this year, and the newly promoted teams are just having it really tough. Last year we saw all three newly promoted teams stay in the league, which was kind of unprecedented, and we were like, whoa, maybe this shows that, there isn't that much of a divide between the Premier League and the Championship, and, maybe the money isn't making that much of an effort, much of a difference, sorry. But I think this year, I think all three are really struggling, and they're all going to be down there or thereabouts. And I think, just carry on trudging along, I think, for Burnley. I think continue going. I mean, they scored this week, which was a good thing for them. Odegaard with a goal. But I think next week, who have they got next week? I'm just looking now. They got Brentford away. And with Brentford with a really poor run of form at this moment in time, I think that could be a good opportunity for them to get some more points. Are there three teams worse than them in the league this year? I'm not sure. I think they might be one of them. But we'll have to wait and see.
Indeed, we will.
Yeah.
Moving on to...
Very swiftly on.
to Brighton 2, Liverpool 2. A really crazy end-to-end goal-filled, shot-filled, chance-filled game between two sides who have attacked really well this season and not defended very well at all.
I will say I hate playing against Brighton. They do feel like a bogey team at this moment in time. Every time, I think last season especially, when we went to the Amex, it was the worst game we played last season. I don't even think we got destroyed, but I think by the scoreline, I mean, in terms of the way we played and the performances, we were awful. It felt like, we played like 3 games in midweek, and coming against Brighton, we just had no legs whatsoever. And I was kind of worried about that again on the weekend, because of the fact that, Brighton were passing better, they were getting more shots on us, and I just felt like, most of these players haven't played midweek, and the ones that have, like the Salah and Nunes, they got substituted at half time. So the fact that they're so leggy, it just worried me a bit. And, when then Brighton then go take the first goal, I'm like, oh my God, it's happening again. They've got a number again. And I really want to shout out Dringer, because I thought he had a fantastic game. Mm-hmm. He had Robertson on toast all game. And I thought Robertson had a really poor game, which we'll get on to, especially for the goals. But I thought the way he, again, like we said for Sterling, how direct he was, how fast he was, and, just every time he got the ball, he looked like he was going to make something happen. Whether he was going to go on the outside or cut inside and take a shot with his left foot, he was amazing. And it's the fact that it's Brighton have found yet another player. McTominay on one wing, him on the other. You still got Ansu Fati on the bench. Brighton, attacking-wise at least, are a very exciting outfit.
Yeah, it was... Adingra he had so much space on that right side. I think with Diaz drifting in and Robertson really pushing up at times, it did leave quite a bit of a hole for Adingra to go into, which he just took full advantage of. And he got that first goal, which was a really nice finish from him, but it was quite sloppy from Liverpool really to give it to him. Van Dijk plays it out. McAllister looks a bit lackadaisical. Alisson is don't know where he is. He looks like he was out getting a drink or something. He was
Yeah.
miles out of the goal. Adingra just passes into the bottom corner really nicely, really nice finish, but it was almost Liverpool's making. And for the rest of the game, Adingra was just so direct, always driving at people. And I think with March, it seems like maybe moving into left back. He played left back this game. With Adingra maybe playing as he was, he could carry on playing right wing, which would be really exciting to see for a young talent. But fortunately for you, Mev, it was actually Liverpool got back in that first half and were able to go into the break 2-1 up.
Yeah, and there were a couple of warning signs for Brighton, because I think the way that both sides were playing, they were going to press. As soon as they lost the ball, they were going to press really high, really intensely. And if you could win the ball back high up the pitch, like Liverpool did a couple of times before, but couldn't capitalize on it, then you're in trouble. But this time it worked, and this time they won the ball back. Dominic Szoboszlai played the ball into, I think it was... No.
It was into Diaz, I think.
It was into Diaz, yes, who had a lovely turn and had the awareness to pass it to Harvey Elliott, who then left it for Mo Salah, which I thought was very nice, as he realised that, I'm not world class. Not yet. Not yet, at least, Harvey. And then he gave it to Salah, and Salah started bottom corner. And then we got a penalty. And this is where we had a bit of controversy. You just said you didn't see it, did you?
I can't remember.
Right, so Liverpool again pressed really high up after getting the goal. Brighton lose the ball, and the Brighton player passes it back to Verbruggen in goal, but Nunes intercepts, who then passes it back to Dominic Szoboszlai. Nunes is not offside because of the fact that the Brighton player touches it, but then Nunes passes it to Dominic Szoboszlai's left, and he's about to go and tap it in, but Pascal Gross pulls the shirt.
Pull shirt. Yeah, I do remember this.
So. Obviously, Liverpool get the penalty. VAR, that's fine as a penalty. But then afterwards, I'm like, okay, cool. But then I'm like, hang on, he hasn't even shown him a yellow card. And then I checked Twitter afterwards. I'm like, hang on, he didn't even try and play the ball. Therefore, it's a red card.
Yeah, denying a goal scoring opportunity without intent to play the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
By rules is a red.
And then I was like, hang on a minute, we've been robbed again.
Yeah.
So VAR, I've got some issues with you, really. I'm going to knock you out. But the letter of the law, that's a red card. And people were saying, oh, no, there's double jeopardy. But it's like, no, because he hasn't made an attempt to play the ball. And I'm not sure it's because of the fact that maybe it was a soft penalty kind of thing where the on-field referee gave it, so we were like, oh, we're not going to return it kind of thing. But it was just... I was just a bit perplexed because I was like, surely he should be sent off. Because then I was like, I really want to win this game. But it didn't quite happen. But obviously, Mo Salah scored the penalty like you expect him to do. Even though he's had a bit of a patchy record as of late, he put his bottom left. And Verbruggen just kind of stood in the middle of the goal. I think he was expecting Salah just to smash it like he did.
He's been smashing it the last few, hasn't he?
Yeah, smashing it just left or just right. Hasn't been going for a corner. But that was bottom corner. Lovely penalty. And we go into the lead 2-1 at half time, which was... I'll be honest, I didn't expect too much because I thought Brighton were, on the balance of it, just a better team. But then, of course, we gave it away.
Yeah. It was interesting in the first half. I just wanted to ask before we move on to the second half. Harvey Elliott, was he playing as a 10?
No, so Harvey Elliott was playing right of the midfield three.
Because I thought the midfield shape was really strange in the first half. It was...
Yeah.
McAllister and Szoboszlai were almost on top of each other at times with Harvey Elliott on the right, and it felt like that left centre mid space, it might be because Robert was overlapping and Diaz was drifting in. He was sort of holding it. And I thought, I was really confused where Elliott was meant to be playing it. He was like just in sort of no man's land. And I was thinking, is that why Gravenberch has come on? Because it seemed like when Gravenberch came on, he moved over to the left centre mid to fill that space.
Yeah. So Szoboszlai preferred midfield role is on the right of the midfield three. But then because of the fact that Curtis Jones is injured, not injured, sorry, suspended for the 3 matches for his tackle against Tottenham, Dominic Szoboszlai went out to the left-hand side because for some reason Harvey Elliott can't play left centre mid role despite being left-footed, and I think Klopp just prefers him on the right. Therefore, so Harvey Elliott always tends to play the right, so then Szoboszlai moved over. Then had a poor game, and I think him and McAllister were both trying to fill up the same space, which meant that they were both drifting into that area, which meant that Harvey Elliott was kind of left completely on his own on the midfield in the right. And I think it's actually really interesting because it showed actually how much Liverpool missed Curtis Jones this season because of the fact that he's been, he plays the 3-box-3 role on the left-hand side of the midfield perfectly well because of the fact that when he was coming up in the youth system, he was a left midfield or left winger. And so when Liverpool started playing like 4-3-3 consistently, it's kind of like, where's Curtis Jones going to play? Because he started out on the left wing, but then when he went into midfield, it felt like it wasn't attacking enough for him. But with Trent Alexander-Arnold or the right back, whoever it is, coming into midfield, having the two there, and that means Curtis Jones actually goes out to the left hand, holds the touchline on the left hand side. So Bosley does it on the right, and then you have the front three going wherever they want him in between. That's actually perfect for Curtis Jones. But then Szoboszlai doing that, I think he just prefers doing it on the right rather than on the left. And then McAllister was just kind of all over the place, and it kind of worrying the fact that McAllister had a bit of a shocking game. I was surprised he came out for the second half, and he actually played most of the second half as well. Because if Liverpool had a better defensive midfielder, I think we could be in the shout for a title race. But I just think that Liverpool are comfortably top four, and that's about it. I think, and I think maybe we'll flirt with the title charge, but I don't think we're as good as Man City or Arsenal.
It's interesting you say that about sort of the wide midfielders playing well in like the left or right side of a box, because you don't really get many left or right midfielders anymore. It feels like they're either attacking goal scoring wingers or like fullbacks or eights. It's got to be, if you're playing as a left side midfielder, you're one of those. It seems like the wide midfielders, like you're sort of, I suppose if like David Beckham was playing nowadays, he would be playing as in like a box number 8 as opposed to, because nobody plays really 4-4-2 anymore. Yeah. So it's interesting that Curtis Jones has been pushed into that and suits it so well.
Yeah, it's actually so weird, because I thought towards the back end of last season that maybe we're just playing this way to try and get the best out of the players that we have, because Trent inverting, Cody Gakpo is the number 9, Curtis Jones coming in and doing that role. But it's actually what we've been sticking to, and his 3-match suspension is huge for Liverpool. And I do think players can step up. I think Brian Gravenberch, when he came on in that second half, was really good, actually.
He was really unlucky not to get that goal as well off the bar.
Oh my God. If that goal went in, it's 3-1 at the time, and I think Liverpool win that game.
Yeah.
Because it was a great run. To be fair, it was a weird run, because Szoboszlai just ran straight through the left back and the left centre back, and then just crossed at the back post. And I was like, that's way too easy.
That was easy, yeah.
But I think just the way that Brighton were pressing, and like I said, both teams were trying to win the ball really high up, that Liverpool ended up winning the ball high up, and there was that space was just naturally there. Szoboszlai, with his pace and power, was just able to drive through it, and then Gravenberch was there at the back post. But yeah, you really did feel like it was a missed opportunity. And then Brighton went to 3 at the back or 5 at the back, depending on how you want to look at it, really causing Liverpool some issues. And then they ended up getting that equaliser in the end.
Yeah, it was Robertson who he should have just tried to clear it. I think he was going to go with his right foot, and then he just hesitated, and by the time he'd hesitated, the ball had already gone past him. It was a really poor mistake to see from someone with so much experience, and then it was a fairly easy finish for Dunk to just put in.
Yeah.
But I think probably on the balance of play, if you're trying to look at it as a neutral, it was a very even game. 14 shots apiece, almost identical XGs, and almost identical possession as well. Brighton really, they're playing really well this season. There's still a few little bits of frustration with them, that they do tend to give away quite a few opportunities. They play high risk, high reward football, which is really good to see. A lot of attacking, exciting young players, but it's how much they sacrifice and how many points that is costing them, because allowing, like you've said, Liverpool so much space aside of Liverpool's quality. If Brighton were a little bit more assured at the back, they attacked so well, they could have got 3 points, and I guess it is in a sense the same way for Liverpool as well. They could have also got 3 points if they were a bit more assured at the back.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think like Klopp, De Zerbi, they're deciding they're not going to sacrifice the principles. They're going to go on the front foot, and because that's how they're going to win games, and they're going to worry about the other bit second. I think it's interesting because if Ange Postecoglou at Spurs, if they had a couple of draws or maybe a couple of losses in their run as well, were we talking about saying, oh, Spurs are exactly the same, great attacking, but can they defend? And I think that it just requires maybe more than most when you play like that, just requires world class players in those positions, which is why if Liverpool maybe had a Fabinho in the 6, that it would be alright, or if Brighton were able to hold onto Moises Caicedo, would it be different as well? I think a player of that quality can just make such a huge difference, and I think that's why Brighton were chasing Levi Colwill as well, because imagine Dunk and Colwill with a Caicedo in front. Imagine that 3. That would have been fantastic for them as well.
Yeah, but I suppose a point for both. Maybe Brighton's aspirations are really high, going for that top 4. Liverpool, high aspirations would be getting in that title race, and I think as a minimum probably top 4 the way if you can keep going, keep getting results, keep getting goals.
Yeah. The last thing on Liverpool. I'll say the reason why we're not in the title race is because looking at these two games, Spurs away, Brighton away, Liverpool really needed to. If they got 6 points, I think they'd be top of the league at the moment. If they got 4 points, I think we go right. They're right in the mix. But because they haven't, how many points have they got? One from those two. I think it just shows, they'll beat they're better than the rest, but they're not good enough to be challenging Man City and Arsenal. I think that's plain and simple. And I think hopefully for Liverpool's sake they can sign maybe a 6 in January, or if not, maybe just go on a cup run this year. I think Europa League is definitely achievable for them. Or Brighton. Hopefully we don't meet them.
Yeah, that'd be a great game if you got to meet.
From Chelsea, Liverpool in the Champions League semi-finals to Liverpool, Brighton.
This is it, lads. The final of the Footy Only Connect quiz. But hold your horses. Don't be too upset because we are going to carry on the quiz just in a different format for the 10 episodes after this one. So each little game will have 10 episodes just because we have been doing so. Yes. No, only joking. Just to mix it up.
We're not joking at all. We're being brutally honest. We've been exposed, even though we're having a football podcast, that we basically can't figure out what clubs players used to play for. Therefore, we've decided we'll do something popular like Tenable or something, and we'll show how amazing our football knowledge is to make ourselves look better, look good, and feel better. So that's the reason why we're stuck in the quiz. It was too hard, all right? I'm fed up, all right? I'm tired.
Speak for yourself. I thought I was doing brilliantly.
We were drawing.
Yeah, so it's 16 all, and we're going to do a bonus edition of the Football Only Connect quiz. We're going to have 3 mystery clubs each as the final episode. We'll do that on the final of each different quiz we do. So the last episode will always be a bumper one. And whoever wins today will win the 10 episodes of the Footy Only Connect. Just so happens it was a draw last episode. Makes it so much more tense.
But what if I'm having an off day, Tobes?
Tell it to the judge.
Oh, my
which is,
God.
I guess, yourself and me. So you'll get like a match point if we win this one, and then you win the next little section of quiz, it'll be another match point. And we'll try and get 3 or 4 in throughout the whole season.
So we haven't actually decided how we're going to do this. So am I going to go through one set of players, and then you're going to do it, and then I'm going to do it?
Yeah. We'll do back and forth.
So who's going to go first then?
Ooh, good question.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah, and then whoever wins gets to decide who goes first.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, all right. You get in camera?
Are you going rock, paper, show or rock, paper, scissors, show?
Rock, paper, scissors, show.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, show.
Rock, paper, scissors, show.
Rock, paper, scissors, show.
No! Yes! So you get to choose if you want to go first.
I will go first.
So is that guessing first?
I am guessing first.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So just a little run through the rules if anyone is joining us on the final episode of Footy Only Connect quiz. 5 mystery players. 5 players for 1 mystery club. You've got to guess the club that all 5 of these players have played for. The less players you need, the more points you get. Nice and simple. So it's pretty tough if you get a bad list.
And if you enjoyed, go make sure to check out the previous episodes where me and Toby do terribly.
We're going to get 3 5-pointers each this episode.
Yeah.
Feeling it. Right. I think I've got the difficulty right. Okay, so your first player for 5 points is David Ginola.
I don't remember David Ginola. I think he was a... This is bad. This is why we're not doing this quiz anymore. Oh my God. He was a French guy, wasn't he? He played for Newcastle for a bit.
I can't answer that. I can't tell you who he's played for.
But you can't say Newcastle because we've already done Newcastle in this quiz. So
I feel like that's such a half rule. There could be overlaps. I can't say we definitely have.
So obviously the club has overlapped, but you can't have said Newcastle. Otherwise, I get 5 points.
You don't. We've never said that.
Yes, we did. Newcastle.
No. It was worth a punt because if it was wrong and I cheated, you get 5. If it was right, you get 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So your second player for 4 points is Aaron Lennon.
Okay, this is better because David Ginola is just not part of the equation anymore. So that's fine. Where did Aaron Lennon used to play for? So he played for Spurs. He played for Everton. Where did he play early on in his career? I don't remember. I don't think you're going to say Everton. I'm going to go Spurs.
It's not Spurs.
Okay, too obvious. I shouldn't have gone Spurs.
Your third player for 3 points is Yakubu.
Yakubu, right. Yakubu, who was at Everton. Yakubu, who was at Blackburn Rovers. Oh, I'm going to say Everton.
He's got it for 3 points. Very nice, mate. That was good you knew remembered Aaron Lennon playing for Everton, because I saw it and I completely forgot, so that's why I put him second.
Yeah, it's always interesting because someone else's football knowledge is different to other people. Like, yours is different to mine, so therefore you might go, oh, I forgot it, but I'm like, oh, it's obvious.
Yeah, the fourth player would have been Stephen Naismith.
Yeah, I knew that.
The fifth player would have been Tony Hibbert, the legend.
Yeah. That was all right. That was
3 points.
That was a good level of difficulty.
Yeah, nice.
Now let's go for you. You can choose. Do you want club 1, 2, or 3?
1.
You want club number 1?
Keep it nice and simple.
Okay. So, Toby, your first player for 5 points is Jermaine Pennant.
Jermaine Pennant. Okay, I know he played for Arsenal, and that was one of the first teams he played for. He also, he played for Stoke or Sunderland, something like that. I think he's been around the block. But we don't think we've had Arsenal yet, so I will just go for Arsenal.
I know.
Is it 5?
It's Arsenal.
Get in! He scored a hat-trick, I think, on his Premier League debut when he was like 18.
I don't know. I don't care. I was like, surely you won't guess Arsenal.
Well, he's one of the only clubs I know he played for.
Liverpool. Oh, dear. Yeah, okay.
Who were the other players in that?
So the second was David Bentley.
Okay, he also played for Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know he would have played for Arsenal.
And then I had Louis Boa-Morte.
Luis Boa-Morte played for Arsenal?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Apparently played 46 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Luke Ayling.
Again, I wouldn't have known that.
And Isaac Hayden.
Yeah, I would have got that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's too obvious.
Because Jermaine Pennant, if you would have put those other players above him, I wouldn't have got that as quick.
Yeah. Oh, well.
5-3, 5-3.
Yeah, okay.
So it'd be 21-19, I guess.
No, just 5-3.
Yeah, it makes it easier, innit? Right.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Your first player for 5 points, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Oh, he's been around the block. Which club are you going to go with? Man United.
It's not Man United.
Okay.
Your second player for 4 points, Nicholas Anelka.
Right, let's think about this. Zlatan only played for Man United in England. Only played for, Man United, the only English team he played for. Did Anelka play for PSG? I'm not sure. Did Anelka play for Barca, Ajax, Inter, AC? Did he play in Germany? I don't think Zlatan played in Germany. Are they Galaxy? Oh, God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So is that a 6? I don't know where Anelka played outside of England.
Both of them are absolute journeymen.
Yeah. I remember when Anelka was at West Brom.
Yeah, and Bolton.
Yeah, and Liverpool. Yeah, we should have signed him. Oh, well. Also wasting time. Shall we go for... He was French. Should we go for PSG?
It is not PSG. But I'll give you this just as a little pat on the back. They have both played for PSG.
Yeah.
Your third player for 3 points is Nicholas Bentner.
It's Juventus.
It is Juventus. Very nice.
Juventus.
Very nice.
Early on in his career.
Yeah, Zlatan was early. He played quite a decent amount of games for them, actually. I think it was like 60, 70. And then Anelka was right at the end, I think, of his career.
Yeah.
Bentner, had a little loan spell there, I think, actually. The fourth player would have been Thierry Henry. And the final player would have been Matthias de Ligt.
Yeah, that was pretty... again, the right level of difficulty. I've got to hope you have a hooner.
So it's 6-5 now.
Yeah.
Got a game in hand.
Oh, it was a game in hand. I was meant to apply the pressure. I just relieved it all. Right, okay. So 2 or 3?
2. We'll just go straight through.
So, your first player for 5 points is Sir Matt Busby.
Matt Busby, blimey. So Matt Busby, no idea.
No.
I just know he was a manager, wasn't he? For Man United when they had the air disaster. Was that the Busby Babes? To be honest, besides, he might have played for United, so I'm just going to have to go for Man United.
It's incorrect. Your second player for 4 points is Mario Balotelli.
Okay. Balotelli.
They've played for the same team.
That is a crazy crossover. So Balotelli's obviously done, I think he's done Inter, City, AC, Liverpool. What would Balotelli have done after sort of AC and Liverpool? I think he's done a couple of random... Oh, he's done Nice as well, I think, actually, and a couple of random Italian sides. I don't think... Oh, could it be... I don't think it'd be Liverpool. I think that's too obvious for Balotelli as well as City. It could be Nice, because that's quite a niche one for Balotelli. Let's go Nice.
It's incorrect.
Damn.
Your third player for 3 points. It's the return of a player. Fabio Borini.
Fabio Borini. Okay, I'm pretty sure he played for AC. Who else is Borini? Has Borini played for Nice as well? I just pulled that out of nowhere. Borini's also played for Liverpool. But that's that. Unless Mev's playing ultra mind games and is doing obvious ones to throw me off. Borini. I think he may have done... What other Italian sides has Balotelli played for? I don't know the name of them. Maybe it's like Monza or something like that. I'll just have to go AC Milan.
It's incorrect.
Damn.
Your fourth player for 4 points is Peter Crouch.
Oh, is it actually going to be Liverpool? Surely not. Peter Crouch has never played outside of England. And Balotelli's only played for Liverpool, City. Has Balotelli played for another Prem side? I'm going to have to go Liverpool.
It is Liverpool.
It is Liverpool. That was sneaky, mate.
Well, that's what I was trying to be with Arsenal, but...
That was sneaky. No, I'm happy with 2. I'm happy with 2 after that.
Yeah. So what did that make it for you?
7.
No, you got 2. Yeah, 7.
7. What did you get? 5. You got 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7-5.
7-5.
No, did I get 3 and 3?
I think you got 3 and 3 actually, didn't you? You got Yakubu and Bentley. Yeah, so it's 7-6.
With you guessing first. This might be the hardest one.
No, it's me guess. It's you guessing first. Mm-hmm. I just went, didn't I?
So hang on. So this is my last one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. I've got to at least get 2 here.
Who was your last Liverpool player, by the way? Just
Ricky Lambert.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was sneaky. That was good though. I liked that.
Well, I was like, if this is the last one we're doing of this.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't remember this for the last time. The next time we do the last one of the new quiz. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Your first player for 5 points is Kevin Prince Boateng.
It's funny because I was researching Kevin Prince Boateng.
Oh, you know his career path?
I don't. But I'm going to go with Barcelona.
He's got it for 5.
Yes!
Well done, mate. That was very good.
Obscure one.
Well
I was
done.
like looking at clubs and I'm like, I'm not sure where to go.
Very good. The second player would have been Quaresma.
Yeah.
Third would have been Vidal.
Yeah.
And then Alex Song, and then Johan Cruyff.
Yeah.
Nice. So I've got to get 4 or 5 here to tie it or to win it.
Okay. 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're not going to get it in 4 or 5. You're going to get like 3 maybe.
I could get it in 4 or 5. Could put out some crazy knowledge.
Your first player for 2 points is...
For 2? How many points?
Sorry. I'm confused myself. Your first player for 5 points is Emmanuel Petit.
Okay, so he has also played for Barca and Arsenal. Can't be Arsenal again. He's also played for Chelsea. I don't know the French club, so I feel like that's a risk. It can't be Arsenal. It could be Barca because I don't think we've actually done it. But it also could. I'll go for Chelsea.
It's incorrect.
Damn.
So hang on, so you have to get this
I have to get this to tie.
To tie. Your second player for 4 points is Miralem Pjanic.
He has also played for Barca. And he's played for Roma, which Petit could have done. And he's played for Lyon, which Petit could have also done as a French side. It could be any of those 3. No, this is difficult.
A lot on the line.
I know that Petit has played for Barca. And I feel like Pjanic playing for Barca is quite a niche. No, it's not a niche. His niche one is Lyon. Where did Arsenal would have bought Petit from? Oh, this is tough. I think I'm going to have to rule out Roma just because of Petit's French. So it's between Lyon and Barca. Let's flip a coin and leave it up to fate.
No, you're not flipping a coin. There's too much on the line.
Let's go for Barca.
It is Barca.
Yes!
We both went Barca.
Yes!
Oh my god, my fifth one was Kevin Brinsberg.
It was. Oh, I thought so.
So my fifth one was Kevin Brinsberg. You went.
He was my first one.
Because I thought it was quite obvious he played for...
Oh, no, because I just thought because he's played for so many clubs.
No.
Yeah.
So then I had Jeremy Mateo, the centre-back.
This is like the one we bloody used in the example on the
Exactly,
first ever
yeah.
episode. We had Petit and Matthew in that for Barca as the example.
Oh, maybe that's why I came full circle. Yeah.
Does that mean I get 5 points automatically?
No. Well, I was going to like, okay, maybe I'll let you guess. So then you can see. And if you like lost, it would be fine. But I was like, I don't know now. Because we both went Barcelona.
Well, we've just drawn now. We're going to have...
Rock, paper, scissors?
No, we're going to have to... Maybe we should do a last minute get one together now. And then...
From your head.
From our head?
From your head.
Okay.
Oh, hang on.
No, it's going to be difficult.
No.
Should we have a brief intermission and then come back?
Oh, we might have to. Yeah, okay, let's do that.
We'll be back for the final decider!
Oh, no.
Can you believe those scenes? It's come down to a final decider.
Yes.
Sudden death.
As you can tell, it's gotten darker because Toby's taking ages to sort out his...
I wanted it to be fair.
Oh, get on with it, mate. Come on. The
Right.
people are waiting.
Right,
The
so...
people are waiting.
So, you're guessing first again? Carry on.
I think we should do rock, paper, scissors. It is the final one.
Okay.
And again, 3, 2, 1, show.
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, show. Rock, paper, scissors, show.
Ah! I went the opposite.
I'm gonna guess first.
You're going to guess.
Yeah,
Right?
I feel like it's the better position. Take the pressure off.
Yeah, it is. Unless you screw it up. So, this is what it's all come down for. All the quiz podcasts up till now. Toby Beasley, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Your first player for 5 points is Fabian Barthez.
Fabian Barthez. I think the only team I know he played for is United. I think he also played for an Italian side and probably a French side, you'd imagine. The Italian side, it was probably either Juve or Inter. I don't think we've had United yet, so let's just go for United.
It is incorrect.
Yeah.
Your second player for 4 points. It is a return of Mario Balotelli.
Oh, okay. So it's probably... It could be Nice, I suppose. Or one of the Milans. AC or Inter. Barthez. I feel like Barthez was AC. Oh, which one was it? I've definitely seen a lineup, like one of those old retro lineups with Barthez in, because he was in a really good side.
But the pixelated images and it's all grainy.
Yeah.
Like, hang on.
Let's go AC Milan.
It's incorrect.
Damn.
Your third player for 3 points is Franck Ribéry.
God, who could this be? Who's he played for? He's played for obviously Bayern Munich, but Balotelli hasn't. He's played for Fiorentina, which I don't think Balotelli has. He's also played for Salernitana.
It's not them.
Yeah, that's Salerno in Italy, and he's played because they got a seahorse badge. He's played for them.
So do Newcastle, don't they?
They have got a seahorse on their badge, yeah. Oh, who else has Ribery played for? Trying to picture like badges, Italian badges, and who Ribery might have been at. With Balotelli's one, could have been in Nice. Where else has Balotelli played? Liverpool, City, AC Milan, Inter Milan, all no. It could be Nice, I suppose. Nice.
No, it's incorrect.
Oh, no, this is poor.
Your third player.
Fourth player.
Your fourth player for 2 points is Cesar Azpilicueta.
Oh, what is this going to be?
What a poor showing for the final one.
He's obviously at Atletico now. Where was Aspi at before Chelsea?
That's a great question, Toby.
Has Balotelli played in the Spanish league? God, I have no idea what Aspie's played. Inter Milan.
No, it's incorrect.
Bloody hell, this is tough.
Is it tough?
Yeah.
I thought you knew where Aspilicueta could have played before.
No idea.
Okay. Last player, Hatem Ben Arfa.
What is this? Ben Arfa, he's played for loads of clubs.
Yeah, but
Newcastle.
with everyone else.
He played for Nice as well.
It's another French side, not Nice.
It's not Lyon.
Sorry,
It's not Marseille. Oh, it could be Marseille actually, because Balotelli's played there. It's not going to be PSG. What other French sides even are there?
Maybe this was too hard. Maybe that's why it was so easy for me to decide. Oh.
I'm going to have to go... Oh, has he played for Marseille, Ben Arfa? Has Ribery played? Yeah, half of these players, I don't know if they played for Marseille. I think Balotelli's probably played for Marseille. Marseille.
It is Marseille.
That was tough.
Was that tough?
That was tough.
I'm sorry, I thought that was easy.
Who was it? Barthez? No,
yeah, well, he was most well known for playing for Marseille.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that's just...
even though he's like a meme at United.
Balotelli, I suppose I probably should have got that earlier that he played for Marseille.
Well, I thought Aspilicueta before Chelsea and then Ribery before Bayern Munich.
No, that's just poor from me. That's poor from me.
Oh dear. Now I feel bad.
Should I throw in a player that I wasn't going to do to make it more difficult?
You should.
Okay.
Just to give the listeners and the viewers something to keep them excited.
Okay. Maybe let us know if that was tough, but maybe that was just me being not very good.
Yes.
Okay.
While Toby's doing that, if you haven't listened, if you're listening to us on Spotify, please give us 5 stars. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe because this is going to be epic.
Freaking epic.
I've just got to get
1 point.
1 point. No,
So-
you got 1 point.
Yeah, so you've got to get 1 to draw.
I'm gonna get 2. No, because I don't want to do it again. We won't even have an episode at this rate.
So your first player for 5 points is Christian Atsu.
Chelsea,
It's not Chelsea.
because he also played in Newcastle, but I'm not sure where else he played.
Your second player for 4 points is Jackson Martinez.
The name rings a bell. I think he's the striker. Was Christian Atsu at Porto? I'm going to say Porto.
He's got it for 4 points.
Yes.
Well done, mate.
So which one is the one you threw in? Sorry.
Didn't even get to him. It would have been Vincent Abubakar.
Yeah, we played Porto in the Champions League like 3 years in a row.
Oh, fair enough. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it would have been Alexandro and Falcao.
Weirdly, Alexandra and Falcao would have thrown me more.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
The niche ones are easier for me.
Yeah. For Alexandro, I just feel like I really remember him playing for Porto, and then Falcao.
He's at Juve now, but before that I was like, oh no, where is he? I think I would have been like, yeah, and Falcao would have gone Man United, Atletico Madrid, Monaco. I would have forgotten about.
Fair.
Yeah.
Because Alexandro, I thought, because he's Brazilian as well, as so many Brazilians come from the Portuguese league,
Yeah.
could have given it away. But
Yeah.
fair play, mate. Well done. Well played.
Well, now I feel bad. This is a bit of anticlimactic. There was no like.
You won.
Yeah.
Fair and square.
Yeah.
My Marseille knowledge is poor. Fair play, mate. 1-0 in games.
Oh, thank you very much. Overall, I can happily say I was a better man, and you got to fix up.
Shocking. The next 10 episodes of the quiz are going to be Arsenal knowledge quiz. Yay.
Well, to be fair, you only got 2 on the Arsenal one.
No, I didn't. I got it in 5.
Did you?
Yes, Jermaine Pennant.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? The Liverpool one.
It was the Liverpool one.
Oh yeah, never mind. This has been going long enough.
Right.
Yeah.
GG. Big dub. We'll see you next time for a new quiz.
Back to the episode.
One team who I think we can probably confidently say wouldn't be in the title race and up there at the moment. Man United. Man United 2.
I thought you were going to say Brentford.
Oh, no, well, yeah, it was... that'd be harsh on Brentford. It's okay because it's Man United.
Yeah.
So Man United 2, Brentford 1. Man United able to pull out 2 stoppage time goals from the clutch god that is Scott McTominay. Isn't he the highest scorer in the... Is it the Euros qualification or the World Cup qualification at the moment? Absolutely. Scooby-Doo.
Mark Goldbridge, when he goes, anytime Scott McTominay goes on the pitch, he's like, Scooby-Doo.
I've never heard that or seen that.
Oh my god.
I need to see that.
No, yeah, I'll show you afterwards. Yeah. Sorry, what were we saying?
I was just saying, yeah, he just saved them.
He's world class, Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was just going to say, I unfortunately actually watched about 60 minutes of this game, and it was just so, I don't know how Man United fans do it week on week. It's so frustrating. The first half they were just awful. I thought really, really bad. They were so slow. Casemiro was just uninterested. Amrabat was maybe a bright spark in there. Rashford, not impressed at all. I think I don't think, obviously they were having to play Lindelof at left back. They still have some really bad injury problems and some problems with their squad, but it was just so slow, so passive. It was really frustrating to watch, even as someone who, as an Arsenal fan, you probably don't even want United to win. I'm thinking you've got some really good talented players out there and a talented manager. Why is this not clicking? And it was such a sloppy goal that they conceded. It was Casemiro just loses it, tries to win it back and doesn't. Lindelof with a really poor clearance, and then Jensen just passes it in, and Onana makes a really terrible attempt to save it, and it just rolls in. And I think that passage of play sums up their season so far.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I've been thinking about Man United a lot because sometimes I feel like because I'm a Liverpool fan, I may be a bit too harsh on them. So this game reminded me a lot of the Burnley game that they had a couple of weeks ago, in the fact that they won 1-0. They played terribly. Burnley were the better side, but they got the win and they got the 3 points, and that's all that matters. So for me, that's all that Erik Ten Hag needs to do at this moment in time. I I'm still trying to figure out his style of play, which is the thing that I struggle with the most with Man United, is because at this point in this tenure, I would expect him to know his style of play, his players, regardless of who it is. Because if you look up even that back line, I mean, Onana, Lindelof, Maguire, Dallo, I'm missing one, Johnny Evans. I'm still thinking to myself, right, you know, you've been there for a while now. You know how Erik Ten Hag wants to play. And that's the thing, which is the style of play for me. But I think with the amount of injuries that they have, just get the 3 points. If that means that, you know, you have to play the most turgid style of football, but it means that you get 3 points week in, week out, and that means that eventually, when all the players are back fit, that you can maybe play that better, more attractive style of football, then that's fine. Because I think at the moment in time, Man United trying to do something that they're not capable of doing is just idiotic, plain and simple. I think just defend deep and just try and hit teams on the counter attack. And when it doesn't work, you know, then maybe you're gonna have to like hope on like the likes of Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes to try and produce a bit of like Rashford maybe. Hoyland maybe he needs a bit more space in front of him. But I just think Man United just get the 3 points, and they did. And I still can't believe how they did it. Because it was a complete fluke, and I expect them to not win next week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think it's the way they're playing and the way they're maybe getting results like this it's very unsustainable. It's not something they're going to be able to carry on, but because of the way their squad and their injuries are and the way that they're playing, I suppose they just need a short-term fix to then maybe train on the long-term fixes and the game plan and the tactics of that sort of direct play that Ten Hag wants, that quick build up, get it up as soon as you get it up the pitch as soon as you can. And I think there was the last half an hour they played a lot better. They stepped. It could have been one of those games where you say it was too late. It could have been another poor performance, but they did start to step up, and I think that last half an hour they were a much better side. I think Hoyland is exactly the sort of player that Ten Hag wants. I've been really impressed with him recently, and I think a lot of defenders are actually quite scared of him. I think when you see whoever it is playing a long ball, Onana, the centre-backs, Casemiro, playing it up to Hoyland really direct, the defenders do not want to risk trying to let it run out, trying to like get a foot in. They will literally, if they get it and Hoyland is near them, they just clear it. I've noticed that in the last sort of 2 or 3 games, he already has that fear about him because he's so strong and so quick, and I think that's going to be a really big thing for Man United for the whole season, even if maybe he's not getting sort of attacking service as much.
I think also the fact that he's so young. So I think unlike Haaland, I know Haaland's only like a couple years older, but he's already established himself as this like world name. But I think Haaland is so desperate to make himself a name that not only is he strong and fast, but he will run for any loose ball. And I think that's something as well, because the defenders are like, right, if I take a bad touch, I know he's going to be right around my shoulder.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe Haaland wouldn't necessarily would be.
Yeah, I saw it was in the Arsenal game and Hoyland came on, and Gabriel, I think, was instantly just switched. He was so composed, and then Hoyland came on and he was just rushing clearances, just getting a foot onto it as soon as he can, because Hoyland is such a he's like a terrier, but he's like 6'4". So
Yeah.
it's like it's such a good combo, and I think he has been a really bright spark for them. And then McTominay comes on with 10 minutes left.
Scooby-Doo.
Great reference. I definitely understand it.
Yes, don't worry. You will. I'll show you how to. You get it.
And he gets a scrappy goal for the first one, and then launch into the box. Maguire with a really nice, like, cushioned header looping over, and McTominay flicks it in. They get 3 points, which it was a crazy turnaround. And as a Brentford fan, they must be disappointed because they thought the way they've been playing, not playing well, poor form, go to Old Trafford and get 3 points. And now it's just more misery for Brentford, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Brentford, I feel really bad for them because of the fact that they are a good team. Well, I don't know. Do I feel bad for them? I do, but I don't, because they are such a good team. They're so well drilled, they're so well oiled. But I think they're just going through a bad run. And I don't think, I mean, they are down there in the league table. I don't think the relegation candidates. I don't think they're in any trouble. And I think they will just go on a run and win a few games. I think, I don't think anyone's having. No one's being too harsh on Brentford at this moment in time, even though the fact they're going on bad games. Because I think Thomas Frank and the Brentford side have so much credit in the bank from what they've done so far. And I think maybe they are missing Ivan Toney now. I think they need someone to put the ball in the back of the net and, be that a hold-up play. And I think we can see now why maybe Johan Wissa wasn't a regular starter for Brentford, but when Toney was fit. And maybe they should have gone around and tried to sign someone. They did put in the bid for Brennan Johnson, so maybe they did have the money and they were trying to get someone, but maybe it didn't materialise in the final few days of the transfer window. But I still think, it's all calm, Brentford. There's nothing to worry about. Yes, they're on a bad run. I don't think they've won since game week 2. I don't think. Maybe it's 6 games where they haven't won a game, but I think just carry on. You win a game, you get some points, it'll be fine. Maybe they aren't going to be, lower mid-table where we thought they'd be. Maybe they might be like 14, 15. We'll see what happens when Ivan Toney comes in because, a couple of wins and they could be flying up the table again. Could be outside shouts for European football. But I think just calm around Brentford. There's nothing to worry about because I think the owners, the managers, the players know we're all right.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. They're a good side, and on their day, they can beat most teams in the league, really, if they put up a good performance. So hopefully they can turn that around.
Yeah.
Up next, Luton 0, Spurs 1.
The other half of North London, which are the noisy neighbours, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, top of the league as well. Top of the league.
Well, they are top of the league. They're number 1. You're number 2. How does that make you feel?
It's all right. It's only goals scored. Doesn't matter. It should be alphabetical, really. It should be.
Well, in that case, Bournemouth are always top. AFC Bournemouth.
Wait till Accrington Stanley do a crazy run up the leagues.
Oh my god, AFC Wimbledon. No, not Wimbledon. AFC Bournemouth, Wimbledon. No,
Accrington Stanley.
There we go.
AC. A really good first half performance from Spurs. Really good attack performance like we've seen so far. And then second half they had to really show some solidity, down to 10 men, and hold on to the win.
Yeah, they did. Should we just get straight into talk about the red card?
Yeah.
Because 2 yellows, and I mean, Basuma, it was a terrible dive.
It was awful. It was just deserving. If ever I've seen a dive deserving of a yellow card, it was that.
I often think to myself, because if you're going to dive, surely you leave a leg out to make sure there is some contact.
Yeah.
But he pulled his leg in, and there was no contact whatsoever, and he just literally just did the action of a swimmer diving.
Yeah.
And I was just so confused because for a player who's so smart and so intelligent, to get sent off for a second for diving and how bad it was, surely you must be looking back at that in the changing room being like, what have I done?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. I remember in the FA Cup final, can't remember which year, Arsenal-Chelsea, and Victor Moses got sent off for a second yellow for diving. I think it was only like a year after they brought that rule in, and they went down to 10 men and lost the game, and it was so similar. Just like, why are you doing this? There's no need. The Spurs were playing so well. They could have easily gone on and won that game 2-3-0. I know it was 0-0 at the time.
They battered Luton.
But first 10 minutes, Richarlison had 2 very, very good chances. Pedro Porro had another very good chance just after that. They were playing well, and he could have cost them the game by doing that.
I mean, really, it was a bit of brilliance by James Maddison and Mickey van der Ven, who managed to sort his feet out.
Lovely finish.
Yeah, initially I was just like, how on earth did he score that? But then you see the way he quickly turned his body, and I was like, I would have put out a hip trying to do that. But fair play to them, they got the lead, and they held on after that because, Luton did come at them afterwards because they had to, really, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Then they put up a really good performance, I thought, Luton. That sort of last half an hour, once they had gone 1-0 down playing against 10 men, you thought they would have had a decent chance maybe to get a goal, get an equaliser. And they put in a good performance. They were able to get their wing-backs high, like we've discussed in the last few episodes. Doty and Kabore, both able to get up high again, both able to try and put in some crosses to put some pressure onto Spurs, something that we probably haven't seen much of from Spurs this season, is them sitting back and trying to protect a lead. And it was a good battle. Luton put on a good show. Spurs put on a good defensive display to keep them out. And it meant they held on to 3 points.
Yeah, and I think like Alfie Doughty is, I thought Kabore was going to be the main one on the right wing back position, but I think Alfie Doughty's been exceptional. He's kept Ryan Giles out of that side. Who's got 10 plus assists in the Championship last year from Middlesbrough. So I think he's done really well so far. I do have a bit of sympathy for Morris. I think he needs a bit of support up there. He needs a bit more help. I mean, I think he's only scored 2 goals this season. One was a penalty against Wolves. One was against Everton. So maybe a bit more firepower. Maybe they're going to try and address that in January. But they have a lot of the defensive resilience and desire to defend well and for long periods of time. They just need a bit more quality in the attacking third, and they could be all right.
Yeah, I mean, if they play like they did in the last half an hour, I know it's against 10 men, so it's going to be very difficult to translate that week in, week out, playing against sides and away games as well. It was a home game for them. But yeah, they have a chance. You can't rule out any team yet. It's too early. If they could put in a good string of performances, then yeah, they do have a chance. But for Spurs, it's just all been good so far. They've got to keep that momentum going, Spurs. I can see if maybe they have one bad game, they lose, that momentum drops, because the way they play is so direct and attacking, and it's all about momentum and confidence and sacrificing that defence. I think if they get exposed one week, it could be trouble, but the way they're playing, it looks like there's no stopping them.
Yeah, I'll be really interesting to see Spurs without Basuma in their next game. I think they have a relatively easy fixture. I think it's either Fulham or Crystal Palace.
Yeah, it's a home fixture against Fulham.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll talk about them later. Fulham did win, but I think that'll be one where they should be all right. It'll be interesting to see who comes in. I'd expect Højbjerg, I think, to come in. I can't expect anyone else really taking that role. I think the likes of Lascelles, Bentancur, they're all out injured. I think it would be Højbjerg. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Luton, carry on as you are at the moment in time. Spurs, we'll have to wait and see. Title contenders for you?
I think it's early to call anyone title contenders. I think it's this. They've just got to keep going week by week. I don't think they can get caught up in thinking they're in a title race just yet, because I don't think it will do them any good. Not because it's delusional or anything. I mean, they're top of the league. Of course they are in contention at the moment, but I don't think they can think about that and try and get caught up in a title race. They just got to keep going game by game, keep winning, keep playing as they are. But at the moment, it looks like they are definitely going to be getting top 4. And when you're going to be getting top 4, you're going to be up there as well.
Yeah, I think they remind me a lot of Liverpool 13-14 with Suarez, Sturridge, and Sterling. And I think they're great attacking, but I think eventually they'll come up against a side who are so defensively sound. I think maybe a Man City later on the season or an Arsenal. And then they'll just be like, we can't even break it down on the day. And then I think that'll cross their hopes. But for now, I think Spurs fans enjoyed 2 weeks where you're top of the league. And I think fantastic for them. Now let's move on to the other part of London. West Ham 2 versus Newcastle 2. In what was the game between the two sides who were overperforming where we all think they're going to be, maybe?
Yeah, I think a lot of people at the start of the season thought Newcastle's drop because of the fact they have European football would have been a lot more than it has been. I think they've still played brilliantly this season. Not all the time. They've had a few not poor performances, a few performances where they haven't played as well, but I think they've been great this season. And I think West Ham were the same because of where they finished in the league last season, but they've been brilliant, both teams. I think they've got such good qualities about them and such different qualities comparing the two as well. The first West Ham goal in this game was, if you want to see how West Ham play, it is that. It was just a very one-sided, direct break. Lucas Paqueta with a lovely ball. Look at him out of nowhere. Paqueta over the top to Emerson. One touch around the keeper as he rushes out, played across to Souček. So quick, so easy. And when they get that, then they can just sit back and do it again. And I think that would have definitely been their game plan, had it not been for Alexander Isak getting a cheeky brace and pulling Newcastle ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Lucas Paqueta, I mean, we highlighted him when West Ham lost to Liverpool 3-1 away from home. But I thought he was outstanding that game. And I think this game as well against Newcastle, I think it's something about playing on the left-hand side, which actually suits him. But I think the fact that when the ball comes to him, he has more space, he has more time, and he has the pitch in front of him because he's got the byline behind him. He knows he doesn't have to worry about his back. And that which means everything is in front of him. And I think for someone who I always thought in my head is like a number 10, and then sometimes David Moyes in West Ham played him as like a deeper 8, I think maybe that left-hand side might suit him perfectly. He doesn't have incredible pace. So if you're playing him on the left, maybe having Bowen on the right is a better thing to have to balance out the side, or maybe Ben Rama. But I think him on the left is actually really exciting to be able to pick out those passes, especially when you have runners like you had with Emerson bombing on from left back, who was able to pull it back for Souček. I think, maybe going forward, Paqueta on the left-hand side might be something that's really interesting. And maybe why, we saw Guardiola try to go for him in the summer before Man City backed out and got Matheus Nunes. But yes, like you said, Souček with the easiest goal he'll ever score in his life. But then, Alexander Isak coming back in, and also with a helping hand from Kieran Trippier, who is destroying me in fantasy football at this moment in time.
He's just too expensive, though. He felt too expensive.
He was 6'5" at the beginning.
That's a lot, isn't it?
But we've played like 7'5" for Trent before, haven't we?
Yeah, but Trent's different, isn't he?
Is he?
Trent. Because he gets goals as well, Trent.
Well, he's not different gravy anymore. It's Kieran Trippier time.
Yeah, he's got another assist.
Good. He is so underrated. And I think when we talk about Kieran Trippier, we're always like, oh, he's the worst of Kyle Walker, Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and himself. But I think the way he's going at the moment, and the fact that like England, I know it was a bit of off topic, but England without Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw were always injury prone. Kieran Trippier just cannot, find himself not in that England side. And like for Newcastle, he is so important. He's arguably as important as the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and the likes of Alexander Isak, because he's just phenomenal and so underrated. What a fantastic first signing for them under the new ownership he is.
Yeah, he's been brilliant, and I think it works really well with whoever's playing right wing, the way that they can drift in and sort of attack that space, and it just leaves so much space for Trippier to do what he does best, bring that ball forward, just get it in the box. He's got such a good delivery, one of the best in the league, and he was able to get a really nice assist for Isak this weekend. And speaking of Isak as well, both of his goals, I think, were really instinctive. I think they were really good positioning and really quick, clever finishes. And he is slowly becoming more of a complete striker. I think before he came to Newcastle, a lot of people saw him. I know, despite his height and stature, he was a very good carrier, very good dribbler, and he was also good as a last man, playing in because he's so quick as well. And I think this sort of performance today, seeing him as a fox in the box, someone who was just there and was able to finish it so quickly, he is picking up different parts of his game and he's slowly becoming a really complete striker. He's someone who can drift out, pick up the ball, carry it, shoot from distance, score in the box. I'm really, really impressed with him, and I think he's a player that a lot of clubs would have wanted to sign, and Newcastle are so lucky to have him in their side.
Newcastle are, happy beyond belief with the fact that they've got Isak. I mean, initially they overpaid for him, but then obviously Real says that we're going to charge a hell of a lot of money for him because they knew the player that he could be was and is world class. And we're seeing that now. This is the perfect second season. If you just compare him to Darwin Núñez, who's maybe had spells where he's been like, oh, he's going to break out and show how amazing he is. But this is the perfect second season from Isak. With Callum Wilson just as the understudy, he is now taking over that number one role. And by the end of the season, I can see him being a fantastic striker. And next season, oh my God, if it's carrying on the trajectory he's on at the moment, Isak is going to be, 100 million plus centre forward. If he isn't already that.
Yeah, he is just brilliant. I really, really enjoy watching Isak play. Just before we move on to the next game, I just wanted to give another shout out because I did it last week. I feel like we've got to have the Kufal counter going. He got another assist. He's got 4 in a row now.
Mate,
he's just working his way up the assist league. Is
he in your fantasy football team?
No, of course he's not. It's Kufal. I had him at some point last season, I think, because they had some really easy fixtures and he did nothing. But he's just Keeps getting assists. If he gets one next week, that'll be so clutch. I'll be so
Well, we
gassed.
riot, do we?
5 in a row. What's like the Jamie? Because the Jamie Vardy has the goal in a row record. What's the assist in a row record? I want to know that.
I don't actually know, but I think because of the fact that it's Vladimir Kufal, I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah.
But it's like if it's Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'd be like, oh my god, 4 assists in a row. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's world class. He's the best right back ever. He's generational talent. But because it's Vladimir Kufal, who plays for Czech Republic, no one talks about it. No one cares.
If he gets one more, if he gets the assist next week, he ties the record. The record is 5.
With who?
There's a few players. It's Thierry Henry, Ryan Giggs. I think Trent might be on there. That Google has done me dirty there. It's not 5. They just, for some reason, they showed the bottom half of the list.
Oh.
So it's 5 is Darren Anderton, Zola, Giggs, Omri, and Valencia, and Trent. And then Fabregas with 6 and Ozil with 7. Of course, it's Ozil, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course.
What a man. What a man.
Yeah, but watch out. Vladimir Kufal's coming for him.
They've got some good fixtures coming at West Ham, so
We'll see.
could he get to the magic 7? Not the Kufal.
No, he's not. Moving on after that, we are at Everton 3, Sheffield United no. Everton 3, Bournemouth 0. My notes are too close together. Everton 3, Bournemouth 0. In what was the first manager to be sacked derby, I think, this weekend.
You reckon?
Well, I mean, I do reckon after Iraola lost again, which I feel really bad for him, because we both thought that Bournemouth was on the up with the signings they made, the quality, the caliber of the players they brought in, and we thought with this new ownership, this exciting project, Bournemouth going to be on the up. Maybe it might take a bit of time, but I don't think either of us expected to be this slow.
No, Bournemouth sitting second bottom now without a win. 3 points from 3 draws, and against Everton, they were just completely dominated. This was probably the best performance from Everton, I'd say, this season. Not just because of the result. I think it was such a complete performance. They defended really well, as they have done in most games this season, and they were just brilliant going forward. Completely dominated Bournemouth. Almost doubled their shots on target, almost quadrupled their XG. It was a really, really good game, and so many standout players for Everton. I think Garner had a really good game playing in centre mid, which maybe we would have been used to seeing before the season. Harrison has replaced him where he has been in right midfield. McNeil, I think, was fantastic. Finally, I think we're seeing the best of him, which we haven't seen since he signed for Everton, I don't think. He was really good at Burnley, and I was a big fan of his, and I think we saw that this weekend. And Doucouré has been so good this season. I've loved watching Everton this season. They've probably been one of my favourite teams I've watched, and Doucouré has been the main man for them. This weekend he was fantastic again. 3 out of 5 shots on target, 2 out of 2 dribbles, 2 key passes, 4 out of 9 ground duels, and 2 tackles. He was playing just behind the striker, but he was literally all over the midfield, and Bournemouth did not have a chance against Doucouré and against this Everton side, who were really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's all about the balance. I think Everton were lacking that initially in the first few games of the season, playing Patterson at right back, Ashley Young at left back. It kind of felt like a makeshift back four. Obviously, they're playing Michael Keane, but I think they've really figured it out now with Ashley Young at right back and Mikolenko at left back, having right back at left back at left back, bringing Branthwaite at left centre back, who I think has been gone under the radar because of the fact that just started next to Tarkowski absolutely fine, bringing James Garner into midfield, which is where he should be, because really on the right hand side they was lacking pace, lacking directness, and it was kind of more of a makeshift defensive right winger / midfielder. But now with Harrison and with Dwight McNeil, like you said, the whole team has balance, and I think this is Everton's side, with Andre Onana on the... Andre Onana?
Yeah, it's Andre Onana. Yeah. Who's been brilliant. He's been so good.
Onana for Man United is...
Oh, I don't know Everton's Onana's first name.
Everton.
It is Onana.
It is Onana.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Andre Onana, is that the United goalkeeper?
I'll do a fact check of his first name.
Okay, fine.
Carry on.
But with Onana on the bench now, I mean, he was a player who was being linked with moves to the Man United, being linked with moves to the likes of PSG, and the fact that he can now be on the bench, and then you have the likes of him, you got the likes of Beto, you have options off the bench now, which is something Everton didn't have last season. They barely had a first 11 they could put out on the field. So the fact that they've now got a starting 11, which are now completely balanced, plus a bench, It's a fantastic news for Everton. His name is Amadou Onana. I just remembered it.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And fair play to them. I think they scored some fantastic goals. James Garner's goal was well won back by Everton, and then the finish was lovely. Jack Harrison's goal was beauty, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Can't really say anything else. It was a beauty.
It was a beauty, and the fact that that might have been his first or second start for Everton. I think he might have started last week as well, or at least come off the bench. Him finally getting off the mark. They just need Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jack Harrison, and Dwight to stay fit, and with Beto as a substitute.
Yeah,
I mean, they look alright. Maybe mid-table for Everton this year.
No, I really think they could. As long as they are able to put the ball in the net, I think that's the only worry for them this season. And against the big teams, because obviously they played okay against Arsenal, but it was not one of their best performances. They obviously did have to sit back, but maybe they sat back a little bit too much in the end. But yeah, really, really positive signs from Everton. Keep it up, and they will climb up the league.
Yeah, I will say though, they will lose some games they should win. They will win games they shouldn't win.
Yeah,
it'll just be they'll win one, they'll lose one all season. So I don't think Everton fans need to be too annoyed if they lose to Luton like they did at home.
Yeah,
because they will go and just beat Bournemouth. So
yeah, I think over the course of the season it'll balance itself out hopefully.
Yeah, but yeah, from one manager who might be first to sack to another one in Paul Heckingbottom, who lost to Fulham 3-1. Fulham looking alright again, aren't they?
Yeah, really good display from them. Really positive. They were really able to sort of attack the space that Sheffield United left. They did look quite open, Sheffield United at times. Pereira and Willian both had really good games, finding a lot of space. And Sheffield United, it wasn't awful. It was just, I don't know, a bit slow, a bit. They didn't. I think the first half they were solid, and then maybe in that second half, I know they went 1-0 down early in that second half, and they did have to start to come out, but it just did leave a lot of space for Fulham, who took advantage of that really well.
Yeah, I think Fulham, the difference is between the two sides, and I don't actually think there's too much, is that they just have a couple of game changers into key areas, like they have Leno in goal, Palhinha in the midfield. They have Willian on the wing, and Pereira, I think, is just, such an underrated signing for them, because coming from Man United, where, he didn't have a great reputation after what he'd done, because he got loaned out a couple of times, Man United didn't really want him. And now to, really, after Mitrovic left, to be the main man, I think, he's really underrated, done really well, and fantastic job for them. And I think Fulham, I do worry about them defensively. I don't think the defence has been great. I think they're boarding Calvin Bassey to prove the defence, but Tim Ream has still maintained his place. I think Bassey had a tough debut against Arsenal, didn't he, where he got sent off.
Yeah.
But I do think that, Fulham will be there or thereabouts, but I think they're fine for now. But do you think Heckingbottom will be the first manager to be sacked?
It's a tough one, because it's normally clubs that are slightly higher up, not in the league, but higher up, I suppose, in Premier League stature or expectation, where the manager would be more likely to get sacked. Someone probably like Bournemouth, who they were able to stay up and they're trying to build something, and their expectations are going to be higher, trying to finish mid-table, whereas Sheffield United, they just need to stay up. That's going to be their goal. I think that's realistic, and I think everyone understands that. So how long do they give it before the reality of them staying up goes? I'm not sure if it's gone just yet, and it seems like the promoted sides do give their managers a bit more time and a bit more credit, because they are the ones who have got them there normally. So he could be the first to go, but I don't think he's at danger just yet.
I disagree. I think he's in massive danger.
You reckon?
I think 8 games gone, and with the international break now, I think now is the perfect time if you're a club who are struggling. I think Bournemouth and Sheffield United are going to be evaluating their options, because I think that's the issue. There aren't too many outstanding candidates in the market. I know the fact that Lopetegui, when he came into Wolves last year, he was available for some time, but no one really wanted to take a punt on him. So there are managers out there that these clubs will take a risk on. But I think it was just the fact that if Sheffield United didn't lose 8-0 against Newcastle, I think he'd be fine. But I just don't think that at this moment in time that, I think someone else could do the job that Heckingbottom's doing.
I think they could, but I just think with the squad they've got, I'm not sure if they could do much better. They might be able to do a bit better.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. I feel like Bournemouth will give Iraola some time, maybe to the next international window. But I think for me, I think this is the end of Heckingbottom. I think sometime in the next 2 weeks he'll be sacked.
Wow.
Heard it here first.
Clip that, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, of course, mate. First manager to be sacked. It's going out. Right, let's move on then. Wolves 1, Aston Villa 1 in the West Midlands derby. Were you impressed with either side more than the other?
Yeah, I think Wolves were probably the more impressive in terms of expectation.
I agree.
Neto with another assist, he's up to 5 for the season, and Hwang with another goal, also up to 5 for the season.
Remember the name, Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. They're both up there, and they're both performing really well. And like we said, I think you said last week, that front three with Cunha is the 9 and the 2 wingers either side. Looking really good, looking really confident, really positive, and it's exactly what Wolves need at the moment. Maybe they're not the best performance from Wolves in central areas. They were a little bit overrun, I think, by Kamara and Douglas Luiz, and then with sort of McGinn, the way he drifts in and out of that left-hand side. I think that's probably where Aston Villa did dominate a little bit, and were able to create a few good chances from that. However, in terms of Aston Villa, it was a good game. They had a lot of good chances as well. Diaby, I think, had a really quiet game at the weekend.
He did.
And I think that he's really, really good, really impressive. And he only had 12 touches, which you can
did a number on him.
Yeah, and Watkins had 28, which is obviously a lot more. But even then, someone who does quite like to drop deep and pick up the ball, similar to Diaby, they did keep him quiet, as you said. Yeah. Both of them.
I think Wolves will be so disappointed in the way they conceded that equaliser. I think a cross into the back post, and Nelson Semedo, who we praised last week for the fantastic run he made for the winning goal against Man City, this time switches off at the back post and just lets Pau Torres get the better of him. And, you know, I think that's what you're going to get with some of these Wolverhampton Wanderers players. I think sometimes they're going to be inconsistent, sometimes they're going to switch off, but sometimes they're going to produce a bit of brilliance and a bit of magic like Neto, Hwang and Cunha can do. I do agree with you. I think the midfield were poor. I think on paper Aston Villa's midfield is better than Wolves.
Yeah.
It just is. And even the backup option on the bench are better than Wolves in midfield. I think when you've stripped that midfield of Neves, Moutinho, you're really, really struggling. Mateus Nunes as well. I mean, it's their entire first choice midfield three who've just gone. So I think that's fair enough. But I just think like Gary O'Neill's done a fantastic job, and I didn't expect it at all. I mean, I was pushing for them to get relegated at the beginning of the season, and we did put them down in our predictions to get relegated because I convinced you in the end.
Yeah.
But who did you have? Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, again, who are doing okay.
Yeah. We really messed up there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. We're not going to bring it up every single week, just every now and then. But yeah, Bournemouth would be so happy to have him back right now. I mean, considering how it's gone, and you know, I think from the outside looking in at Bournemouth, I was like, you know what, I don't agree with it, but I think it makes sense because of the fact that. Am I playing music?
Mev Spotify has just suddenly come on.
Sorry,
it was like it was you getting emotional about talking about Wolves. It's like the sad music coming on in the background.
I was looking, I was like, I was trying to tell when you give me the eyes like it was me.
I thought I couldn't tell if it was coming from next door or what it was.
Because I have the earphones in. It sounds muffled, so I'm like, oh, it's next door playing it. But I was like, is that me? What was I saying?
Gary O'Neill fan club.
Yeah, Gary O'Neill, amazing job. Bournemouth shouldn't have sacked him. What are you doing?
Yeah, a point each. It was probably fair on the overall of the game, even though Mev gets very emotional talking about Gary O'Neill. That music starts playing in the background.
Well, to be fair, I tell you what. My girlfriend, who will not be named, she was telling me, "Oh, I really want to go see this band." And I was like, "So that's the song I was listening to on the way here."
Okay.
And I think that's what it's playing. That's what Spotify went straight first to. Oh God.
Moving on.
Are we moving on? Because we've had this game before, surely. Crystal Palace 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Was it Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, it was Nottingham
Forest. Yeah. We've had this game a million times already this season, it feels like.
Yeah.
It's always Crystal Palace.
It's always Sam Johnston putting out a crazy performance, 5 saves, 0.8 goals prevented post-shot. Both teams doing well this season, an okay performance from both, really. It was just a classic 0-0 stalemate. I think neither team wanted to be too adventurous and push out, and they both sort of sat back and pushed out a bit. So we had a few good chances. The only other sort of note I've made is Murillo, the Nottingham Forest centre-back. He had a really good game against Brentford last week, and he looked really good against Palace this week as well.
He did.
He's only 5'10", but he's similar to sort of that Martinez for Man United in that he's sort of his stature makes him seem taller than he actually is. I was quite surprised when I saw that. He had a really, really good game.
Murillo the Butcher.
Yeah, 3 clearances, 2 tackles, 6 out of 12 long balls, 4 out of 4 ground duels, and 2 out of 2 dribbles. He was coming out. There was one moment where he took it past like 4 players for Palace. He just went on this crazy David Luiz-esque run and had a shot and almost scored, which would have been mental. But he's looked really good, and he was only 10 million from Corinthians, where he was really highly rated. I remember when they first signed him, all the Corinthians fans were saying, "You've got a player on your hands there for a bargain." He was one of the. He's only 21, I think, and he was one of the sort of highest rated youngsters in the Brazilian league.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest fans were so excited. Not even because of how excited they were, but because, like you said, Corinthian fans were like, "Oh my god, you've got an amazing player," and they were like, "Okay, yeah, sure."
Yeah. Never heard of him before, but we'll take it.
Yeah, but I think it's fantastic for Forest because I think the centre backs, they're all right. I mean, normally it's like Worrell, Bolly. I mean, it's okay, but I think signing someone. What's his name? Murillo. Signing someone like Murillo. Oh, I don't care. signing someone like Murillo. I think it's it's really good business for them because they signed from cheap because they signed Ibrahimo Sangare, who hasn't really found his feet just yet, but they signed him for a lot of money from another European side. So to sign someone, maybe the scouting network deserves a lot of credit for signing someone from outside Europe, who's very highly rated for very cheap, and arguably the way he performed, he will be going, Nottingham Forest will be selling him for like 50, 60 million later on in a few years' time if he decides he doesn't want to stay. But yeah, it was a fantastic signing for them. I think for Palace, I do want to say that, when it seems like early on in the season they were having a lot of shots, they were scoring having a low conversion rate, but they're getting some goals because of the fact they're having a lot of shots. Now that the shots have seemingly dried up a little bit to more like normal standards, that it does feel like they're not being clinical enough. And I think that's been shown in the recent performances. I mean, they are creating some chances, but none of them really clear and clear cut, and they're actually doing really low in recent weeks. But Sam Johnson continuing to make the England squad, and I think fairly, because
I think deservedly so, yeah.
I think Nick Pope hasn't been great so far this season, and I think Sam Johnson has been amazing, so he can't be out of the England side.
Yeah, it always seems that third choice keeper for England is probably going to be from one of the sort of not lower teams, but teams outside that sort of top 8, 9, because they get to show their shot stopping. I think sort of Aaron Ramsdale he's made a lot of saves and stuff, but with playing for a top club, it's more about sort of your stature and your confidence and maybe the way you're on the ball. That he is like almost automatically in the squad, even though he's not playing at the moment. Whereas that sort of third choice position is normally going to the best shot stopper. That used to be Nick Pope, maybe when Newcastle were facing a high volume of shots. Now that's gone out of Nick Pope's game, and he hasn't maybe had the best start this season. He's not the best with his feet. Where Sam Johnston facing a load of shots, making a load of saves, showing how good of a keeper he is, and getting into the England squad just makes sense.
Yeah, and Sam Johnston isn't going to be vying for that 1 or 2 position. I think that's comfortably going to be Pickford and maybe Ramsdale.
I think it's going to be, with Ramsdale not playing, it will be Pickford.
Yeah. So I think Sam Johnson isn't going to be an issue. He's going to be a good lad around the group, and I think fair play to him because the performances so far this season, he deserves it.
Definitely.
Yeah, lovely. Well, that's been the Football Fellowship podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode with the penultimate quiz as well. Not the penultimate, the final quiz.
Yeah, Mev with the 1-0 game lead.
Oh, we can say that now, can't we?
We can.
I won. And as you can tell, I didn't care about the rest of the podcast. Toby really carrying.
So if there's any ideas for any sort of games and stuff that you think we can do for the next 10 episodes, let us know down below. We'll probably steal something else from Luke Pingu, shout out, because he does really good football quiz videos. Maybe a Tenable, maybe a Guess the Footballer where you name their career path. Maybe, I feel like Tic-Tac-Toe is the one that blows up, which is difficult to do on a podcast, so probably not. But that sort of thing, if you've got any ideas.
Yeah, maybe you can work up something amazing in the edit.
Work up some magic.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching and listening. If you are listening on Spotify, please make sure to give us 5 stars and answer the survey. We really look forward to hearing your responses. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give us a like, subscribe, and just tell your friends about what 2 great lads we are. And then, What a fantastic podcast we've got going.
So true. So handsome as well.
And handsome. I mean, we're just amazing. I mean, tell your friends. We'll be here next week. We hope you are too.
Cheers.